To me, Roger was the greatest. I wept when he retired. I wish him all the best, many, many happy days.
Mind-boggling to me. Now, did you make UK your home, or were you traveling back and forth?
I made it my home.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a gig here in America. So I brought my wife and children, and we found a place, and I worked such illustrious places as the Wookey Hollow and the Golden Garter in various places. Yeah.
I pay good money for Neil Sedaka concert T-shirts with those venues on it.
We'll have to print it out.
It's incredible.
The audience was mostly beer and chips and, hey, sing "Oh Carole." They didn't want to hear anything new.
Yeah, they wanted to just hear the hits, right? That's why they showed up. It's funny how that works out. Mm-hmm. It's also, Neil, it's astounding to me. You were probably an embryo when you recorded this, but that's the 65th anniversary of Calendar Girl. Can you believe that?
65 years. Wowee. Yowza. Yowza.
Can you go back in time and kind of plant yourself and what that was like? I mean, having that experience, it almost has to feel like an out-of-body experience, transporting yourself back in time.
Yes. My publishers and managers were John Kirshner and Al Nevins. And I was the first to start in their publishing, Alden, and I think I was one of the first to start the Brill Building. Howie and I went up and were signed, $50 a week. My mother had to sign the contract. I was underage, and they set up an audition with Steve Scholes, RCA Victor, head of A&R, and they are the ones that brought Elvis at that time from to RCA. What was he on?
Sun, I believe.
Sun Records, correct.
Yeah. What did I win, Neil? I won 5 more minutes with Neil Sedaka. I will take it. And it's like winning the lottery. Let me add, I just want to take this moment to say, and you don't have to necessarily comment on it, but it's a fact. It's a travesty, Neil, that you're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I just want to put out a plea to all the fans out there.
Thank
you got to write in. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. You're more than qualified. You're overqualified. You've had 2, maybe 3 full careers that most musicians, singers, songwriters would beg just to have one leg of those aspects of your career. And sometimes common sense just just doesn't work in this favor.
Steve, they couldn't put me in a niche. I was easy listening. I was foreign language. I was children's records. I was AC. I was rock and roll funky ones. They couldn't put me in a niche.
Which is what the industry almost insists on, which is maybe one of the reasons why when you think about the 60s, 70s, and part of the 80s, those were probably the most fertile eras of music where at least musicians, singers, and songwriters were allowed to flourish and do what they wanted musically. Whereas now, quite often, you're kind of putting them in a box and saying, we need you to kind of fit this mold. And that's been going on for some time, right or wrong, but from a creative standpoint, and also from a music fan standpoint, it deprives us of diversity of younger artists. So, I mean, that's why the music that you brought to us through all these years stands the test of time. I mean, it's just great music, and it seemed like you had no restraints.
I had an extensive musical background. I started as a pianist and got a scholarship to the Juilliard School in New York.
That speaks volumes right there.
and I won a contest when I was 16 years old, the best pianist in New York City, and I won that. And Arthur Rubinstein was the great pianist, and he liked my G minor ballade of Chopin, so I won the thing.
I welcome you guys back on here. If you're new, consider subscribing, liking, and also share this video. So Micky Dolenz has come out to pay tribute to Neil Sedaka, the singer-songwriter who delivered pop hits the likes of Breaking Up or Carole in the early 60s, and of course experienced the second wave of success a decade later with chart-toppers like Laughter in the Rain and Bad Blood, who passed away. That was on Friday at the age of 86. Now we've seen Micky coming out in one of his shows, and of course also came out on social media as the last surviving member of the Monkees to honor Sedaka following the news of his death. He called the artist one of those rare songwriters who could write it all. Dolenz credited his collaborations with the band, writing that, I quote, "Monkees fans will know his work too. He co-wrote When Love Comes Knocking at Your Door with Carole Bayer Sager, along with a few other songs that found their way into our world," adding he also wrote Rain Again for Davy Jones' solo record. By the way, Sedaka also talked about this in one of his interviews, saying that for him he was not only a songwriter, he was not only a singer, but he was also a songwriter who could actually compose anything from scratch, not like these artists who are ever in collaborations with regards to writing subs and stuff like that. So Dolenz continued and said, "I will never forget when he showed up all the way from the East Coast to pay tribute to Davy at his LA Best Memorial with performances of Love Comes Knocking at Your Door before ending his tribute, sending my thoughts to his family, friends, and everyone who loved his music." So it's really been a tough couple of days ever since Sedaka passed away, and of course so many artists, most especially those who hit within the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, have come out to pay their respects. And indeed, Neil was one of those artists who was very, very rare, multi-talented on almost all spheres of all spheres of music, in terms of composing, writing, production, playing instruments. So he was it all, like he was everything. So it's really very, very devastating.